In this video, we're going to talk about DynamoDB primary key types and secondary indexes. When you create a table, in addition to the table name, you have to specify the primary key of the table. The primary key uniquely identifies each item in the table so that no two items can have the same key. DynamoDB supports two different kinds of primary keys. The first is the partition key, which is a simple primary key composed of one attribute. DynamoDB uses the partition key's value as input to an internal hash function. The output from the hash function determines the partition, which is a physical storage internal to DynamoDB, in which the item will be stored. In a table that only has a partition key, no two items can have the same partition key value. This table is an example of a table with a single primary key, which is person ID. You can access any item in this table directly by providing the person ID for that item. The next kind of primary key is a partition key and sort key. Referred to as a composite primary key, this type of key is composed of both the partition key and the sort key. DynamoDB uses the partition key value as input to an internal hash function. And again, the output from that hash function determines the physical storage internal to DynamoDB in which the item will be stored. All items with the same partition key are stored together in sorted order by sort key value. In a table that has a partition key and a sort key, it's possible for two items to have the same partition key value. However, those two items have to have different sort key values. This table is an example of a table with a composite primary key. You can access any item in this table directly if you provide the artist and song title values for that item. A composite primary key gives you additional flexibility when querying data. For example, if you provide only the value for artist, DynamoDB retrieves all of the songs by that artist. To retrieve only a subset of songs by a particular artist, you can provide a value for artist along with a range of values for song title. Note that the partition key of an item is also known as its hash attribute. The term hash attribute derives from the use of an internal hash function in DynamoDB that evenly distributes data items across partitions based on their partition key values. The sort key of an item is also known as its range attribute. The term range attribute derives from the way DynamoDB stores items with the same partition key physically close together in sorted order by the sort key value. Each primary key attribute must be a scalar, meaning that can only hold a single value. The only data types allowed for primary key attributes are string, number, or binary. There are no such restrictions, however, for non-key attributes. Next, I'd like to talk about secondary indexes. You can create one or more secondary indexes on a table. A secondary index lets you query the data in the table using an alternate key in addition to queries against the primary key. DynamoDB doesn't require that you use indexes, but they give your applications more flexibility when querying your data. After you create a secondary index on a table, you can read data from the index in much the same way as you do from the table. DynamoDB supports two kinds of indexes: global secondary index, which is an index with a partition key and sort key that can be different from those on the table, or local secondary index, which is an index that has the same partition key as the table, but a different sort key. Note a few things about this table. Every index belongs to a table which is called the base table for the index. In this example, music is the base table for the genre album title index. DynamoDB maintains indexes automatically. When you add, update, or delete an item in the base table, DynamoDB adds, updates, or deletes the corresponding item in any indexes that belong to that table. When you create an index, you specify which attributes will be copied or projected from the base table to the index. At a minimum, DynamoDB projects the key attributes from the base table into the index. This is the case with genre album title, where only the key attributes from the music table are projected into the index. You can query the genre album title index to find all albums of a particular genre, for example, all rock albums. You can also query the index to find all albums within a particular genre that have certain album titles. For example, all country albums with titles that start with the letter H. And that'll wrap it up for our summary of primary keys and indexes. So if all of that made sense, then feel free to move on.